Okay, so one thing I wanted to do is, as I said in the open, I was going to highlight this trade idea in Howmet Aerospace, and I realized that I did the whole video and then did not actually highlight Howmet. So I am adding this into the video here in HWM, so you can see what we were looking at. Because I think it is a very important idea. Again, it doesn't matter the name, doesn't matter the overall magnitude of the move, right? What is happening on a near-term time frame, and that setup can show up on a short-term time frame. That short-term setup can show up on an intermediate term, and long-term, right? Markets operate in fractals in that way. At least that's what I have seen. So what we're really looking at is we sold off into that mid-cycle low. This is the primary thing I was watching for. And it got interesting because you can see we sold off and then held, right? And then watch that low. We did not hold, we did not lose that low. We held inside. So I'm looking at this really as a two-bar sideways consolidation at an important inflection point in terms of time. From there, what I would be looking at is what's happening with the RS. The RS is curling down, right? It hasn't gotten really sharp down. It is curling down. So that's a peaking phase, and we highlighted that in our trade idea on the intermediate term. In the short term, so this is what we were looking at. And I had that orange line as the key breakout area for it to get through. Why? Well, we had this high here at around 177.40, this high here at 177.46. You had two equal highs. What does this look like in terms of price? This looks like, and it's a little hard to see here, but this is forming a consolidation. So now what I want to look at, once I have analyzed what's happening in price, is look at the consistency of these money flow patterns. This is a 48 bar, pretty consistent. Again, you have to allow for some variance, but the actual troughs are close to the idealized troughs when these cycle brackets are drawn. Keep in mind, this is just the average length. The actual lengths are going to vary. You can see this is a little shorter, this is a little longer. This is right around average. This is right around average. So that's really what you are using this for. As Slim always says, this is really more of a way to help us to visualize the money flow pattern. That's it. Not anything more than that. Okay. So there was a trough that was due. We were seeing a early stage base that was forming here. And then we have our key level. So what I was actually looking for was for this to hold up here, right around here, basically trade sideways. This got right to our key level, but did not close below. So it actually stayed live. And then right here, right at the open, this started to show us something. And I posted that in our Trade Ideas feed that, hey, this is back on the dance floor right off the open. This was getting interesting. And let's highlight what's happening here on the 2. So on the 2, you can see a really clear base. This is your base in price. The other thing actually I didn't highlight here was what I like about this is that sharp down and then we form the base. So why is that interesting? Well, as soon as we get through this old high, guess what? We have a void basically in terms of price. And look at, in the end, what happened here. It traded right up to the top end of that void as it should have. So this is in many ways really more of an auction, right? You auction down sharp, and then you come into a balance where there is an equilibrium between buyers and sellers. Then you go out of balance when you clear a key price level on the upside and you enter that void. That's why that move, which happened intraday, was so fast but so calculated and allowed for increased confidence as it moved through its key reference level. You can see it right here. And I know this is just a 2-hour bar. And you're saying, why are you looking at a 2-hour bar? This is my time frame. It doesn't matter what the time frame is. This, as I said, is a fractal. You see this same pattern on weekly charts, on monthly charts, right? You see the same pattern. It's just on a different time frame in the upper left corner. Okay, so please keep that as a key frame of reference as we look at it, right? In terms of the overall action, we saw sharp down, basing action, and then as soon as we move back to the old highs, we entered the void and got a sharp up. That overall construct you see across many time frames. Okay, so that is very important. But that was one of the overall reasons why I felt very strong and very comfortable adding to this trade as soon as it got through that high. And you can see it was very quick. If we go to a 15-minute, you may be able to see it, right? We went right up to it again. Look at that. Off the, again, this is a 15-minute chart. We then looked at it again. It's showing you that that price level matters. And what happened after it? It held sideways after that key breakout, built, and then gave you the move. Right? We entered that void to the upside. That's why the move was so violent to the upside. But we had a test right off the open, right at that level that said, that is your key line in the sand, 177.30. Again, right around that same price. It's not going to be exact, right around that same price based on what we saw, based on what we had on the daily time frame with that sharp down base and our key level of reference that got tested 1, 2, and then intraday on the third day, right? Right here. That said, that is your level. And what did we do after we looked at it? We held sideways and built. Again, as I said, this same setup will show up all over the place on all different time frames. But this is a key way to analyze and track your trades very closely and understand the psychology about why that acted like a key pivot area in Howmet. And as soon as we cleared it, that was it. Boom. Right off to the upside, straight up after we cleared that number up about 360. Again, Howmet does not move a lot, which is something that you can be aware of and will allow you to, be able to work a little bit more size on that opportunity if that, fits into what you do. Okay. But very calculated, key level. You saw price accept the move off the open, right? This is the open. It actually accepted that move, held and built just below that key price reference. If you wanted to, that would be one area to be adding just below it in anticipation of that break, right? And that gave you a very clean and very calculated opportunity. Okay, so that's the look there at HWM in terms of that trade idea breakdown. I do hope that was helpful.